From crash to cover up, police on the defensive. Defensive just being such a soft word to use. It's literally a cover up, a playbook to bat those who are powerful, who are backing and possibly protecting the powerful. What are we really talking about? We bring you a story that has shaken Kanpur and raised uncomfortable questions across the country. We are looking at a familiar and deeply frustrating pattern on Indian roads, a story of high speed, expensive engines, and the immediate attempt to shield those behind the wheel. Yesterday in Kanpur, a supercar worth, in fact, north of 10 crore, plowed into auto rickshaw, a motorcycle and several pedestrians. This was on Sunday, injuring at least 6 people. One biker was thrown nearly 10 feet into the air. Others suffered fractures, leg trauma, serious injuries. Absolute chaos followed. Eyewitnesses and videos show the VIP kid being pulled out of the vehicle by his bouncers from the driver's side. The bouncers then clashed with locals trying to reach him. The driver reportedly locked himself inside the car at first. Police later seized the vehicle. Instead of towing, they drove the Lamborghini to the station, again destroying evidence. This is not just a road accident. This is about how the law responded when the accused arrived in a 10 crore rupee worth supercar. A story of speed, privilege, and a police force that appears to have looked away at every critical moment. Accidents can happen, but it is what happened after that. It's what a series of action and inaction that seems to be shielding the driver, and it is inexcusable failure. First, despite videos, eyewitnesses, and immediate on-ground identification, the FIR was filed against unknown persons. Unknown to whom? Not to the public, not to the bystanders, not to social media, only to the police. Shivam Mishra, son of tobacco baron KK Mishra, was named a full day later, 24 hours later, after media pressure exploded and public outrage peaked. The police went on record 24 hours later to say Shivam was on the wheels. And another 24 hours later, they seem to have fizzled out of this conviction. Not conviction, we're talking about evidence. We'll get to that, but listen in to these two versions in a gap of 24 hours from the same top police official.
एक्सीडेंट की धाराएं हैं, उनके अंतर्गत कार्रवाई की जा रही है। जो गाड़ी थी उनकी लैम्बोर्गिनी, उसको सीज कर दिया गया है। विवेचना में ये पता लगा है कि जो लड़का चालक है वो शिवम मिश्रा है। उनके पिताजी केके मिश्रा हैं, ये दिल्ली में रहते हैं और वो लड़का गाड़ी चला रहा था। उसके साथ पे पीछे बाउंसर थी और दूसरी BMW गाड़ी में। उन लड़कों ने जब वो एक्सीडेंट हो गया था तो वो लड़का बाहर नहीं निकल पा रहा था। संभवतः शॉक लग गया है, जिसकी अभी और आगे की जानकारी की जाएगी।
वो तो उनका कहना है कि ड्राइवर चला रहा था, लेकिन हमारी विवेचना, जब शिवम का नाम हमारी विवेचना में आने का मतलब है कि हम संतुष्ट हैं कि ड्राइवर शिवम है। ठीक है, तो वो कुछ भी बोलते रहे कि हमारी जांच, जो हमारे पास CCTV फुटेज है और जो हमारी विवेचना में, यार विवेचना में नाम आने के बाद ही उनका नाम जो है उसमें FIR में लिया गया है। तो इसलिए वो अपनी बात करें, हम कोर्ट में अपना बात रखें कि ये गाड़ी खुद चला रहे थे।
K. Mishra, the business tycoon, father of the accused Shivam Mishra, claims that his son was not driving the Lamborghini. According to KK Mishra, it was a hired driver, Mohan, who was behind the wheels, while Shivam, according to the father, allegedly unwell and unconscious inside the car. As the car slowed down, an auto rickshaw allegedly hit the Lamborghini. He says that as the car windows were locked, preventing the driver from opening them, security staff then broke the glass to pull Shivam out.
जहाँ ये घटना घटित हुई है, उसके पास जब घटना घटित हुई है, उसके पहले शिवम को कुछ झपकी आने लगी। ऐसा ड्राइवर को सोचने लगा कि इनको हुआ क्या, झपकी ऐसी लगने लगी। तो उन्होंने उसके एक हाथ छोड़कर शिवम के पीछे हाथ लगाया और साथ में ही सुनिए साथ में ही उसके साथ में ही जब उसमें हाथ लगाया गाड़ी स्लो हो गई। गाड़ी स्लो होने के बाद में ब्रेक मारा उसने, तब तक एक टेम्पो वाला आ गया, उसने साइड से टक्कर मारी, गाड़ी लेफ्ट साइड रुकी, इन्होंने ब्रेक मारा, गाड़ी ब्रेक से रुक गई। रुक जाने के बाद में फिर वो ड्राइवर ने उसकी अचेत अवस्था देख के परेशान हो गया। गाड़ी उसका शीशा नहीं खुल रहा था, पीछे सिक्योरिटी जो आ रही थी उसने देखा कि परेशान है, भैया आगे झुके हुए हैं, तो उन्होंने गुम्बे से जिस तरीके से तोड़ के शीशा, उसका शीशा खोला, तो अंदर हाथ डाल के जैसे भी उन्होंने दरवाजा खोला।
What does this business tycoon father claim? He claims Shivam was taken home, a doctor examined him, he was then sent to Delhi for treatment and is still undergoing treatment there. What treatment is this that the police don't have any record of, that could not be treated for in Kanpur? Shivam Mishra's lawyer, Dharmender Singh Dharmo, has repeated the same claim. He insists the car was driven by Mohan. That's the so-called hired driver that seems to have surfaced in the family's narrative 48 hours since the crash. Both Mohan and Shivam were inside the vehicle. Mohan has now submitted an application to surrender in court. He's also seeking bail and release of the Lamborghini.
उस गाड़ी को जो ड्राइवर चला रहे थे मोहन जी, उन्होंने कल कोर्ट में एप्लीकेशन दी थी कि हम कोर्ट में सरेंडर करना चाहते हैं। कोर्ट ने आज की डेट फिक्स की थी आख्या मंगाने के लिए थाने से, आज आख्या आई नहीं है, कल की डेट फिर फिक्स हो गई है उसमें। तो जो ड्राइवर गाड़ी चला रहा था उसने हाजिर होकर के अपनी जमानत कराने का प्रार्थना पत्र दिया और गाड़ी रिलीज की एप्लीकेशन भी कोर्ट में लगी है।
Ladies and gentlemen, let's pause here. The driver emerges after the FIR controversy. The surrender comes after outrage, and the demand for car release comes before arrest. Amid all this, systemic lapses that have played to the playbook of batting for the rich. We ask these questions. Why no arrests have been made till now since the Lamborghini Sunday crash? Why was VIP brat Shivam not named in FIR for 24 hours? Why no medical tests done on Shivam after the crash? No breath analyzer even. No cops have proof against family's hired driver claim. Do cops actually have this proof? Why was Shivam not tested for alcohol use? Is this another case of a driver being made scapegoat for brat or a VIP brat Shivam? The Lamborghini was not towed. Standard procedure after a serious crash. It was driven to the police station, driven carefully. By whom? No guesses. Cops. As if the priority was protecting the machine, not preserving evidence. And once there, the car was given a custom protective cover. A 10 crore rupee car cocooned in police care while 6 injured citizens lay in hospital beds. And then there are the other damning omissions. No breath analyzer tests. A high-speed super car crash, no alcohol test. This is not negligence. This is abandonment of duty. No arrest so far, no custody, no interrogation in custody, no immediate interrogation in hospital as police not allowed. Police did not question Shivam Mishra while he was medically fit. Time lost. No forensic driver confirmation. No public record of seat position, steering wheel injury, airbag impact analysis, ECU, vehicle data, so on. What basis is the police claiming certainty? So many more questions that we have been asking. A police force that diluted an FIR, at least what appears right at the forefront of it, ignored standard protocol, soft-handled evidence, and reacted only when the nation started watching. I'm being joined at this point by Sharat Trivedi, who's a spokesperson for BJP, Ranjan Dwivedi, who's a former DGP for Uttar Pradesh, as well as Dr. Rajiv Nanda, who's a senior advocate for Supreme Court. Thank you very much, all three of you, for joining me. Well, first, straight up, Ranjan Dwivedi, you have been a former top cop. I'm sure you've handled several such supercar cases and, the big business tycoons or the influential cases. What's really happening? This seems to be a case that's completely fallen apart even before the probe has started. Why do we ask this? Because at the face of it, for somebody who's been tracking this case very closely, there seems to be big protocol lapses that have happened minute after minute after minute.
Well, it's an important case, undoubtedly, and the treatment should be exemplary. Now, here I'd just like to point out that the only fault which is glaring is that no breath analyzer test was done on Shivam Mishra. Otherwise, there's nothing really amiss. And and for this, the inspector has been transferred to the police line, which does not look to as a punishment, but administratively, it's a big punishment. Why? Because out of 40 inspectors in Kanpur, 20 would be heading police stations, and if you are SHO police station, you are a king. If you are not there, then you are almost a pauper. You're down there. So not that apart, all accidents, the initial FIR is against the driver because you do not know the name of the driver. Now here, the police commissioner has specifically said they've got ample evidence to nail Mishra, that Shiva Mishra was a driver. There's evidence from cameras, evidence from people standing over there, and so on. So obviously, the lawyer can say anything, the father can say anything, and unfortunately in our country, there's no punishment for speaking a lie. You see, if you speak the truth or question, but if you speak the lie, there is no punishment. Now, however much they might howl, but in the court, it will be very easy for police to name the chap that this guy was a lead driver. That's one. Now, here, when an accident happens, the job of the police is to take the injured to the hospital to ensure that they get the best happens. And simultaneously, the police is also expected to find the accused and arrest him. Now, getting the car down to the thana, if it was driven, it's actually good. Why? Because it proves that the car was in a perfect condition. It actually goes against the accused. The accused cannot tomorrow take the plea that there was a problem in the car. And secondly, if they come in the car, that's also a problem. Because if the car was damaged, then again, that was accused.
That's very interesting, Ranjan Dwivedi. That's very interesting that you are saying that. Let me just get in at this point, Dr. Rajiv Nanda. Dr. Rajiv Nanda, you heard Mr. Ranjan Dwivedi saying, and he has said the only big glaring lapse in this case is that the breath analyzer test was not done. If that's the only big glaring lapse at this point, just how big is that? Because one, how does one even get evidence of the fact that he was under alcohol's influence or not, considering he eventually was admitted in a hospital where there would have been saline and so much more other put into his body, injected into his body. How does one prove anything? Secondly, it's interesting that Ranjan Dwivedi chose to say that it's good that the car was driven because it shows that it was in good condition. How? There was no forensic team that had reached on the ground. There was no evidence that was collected. How do you look at this, Dr. Rajiv Nanda?
See, this is a case where, or such kind of cases, time is of essence. And to say that the breath analyzer test is the only test is perhaps not the correct position. The correct position is breath analyzer test is one of the tests which could have been performed. Otherwise, in such kind of cases, blood test has to be conducted to check whether the person alleged to be driving in such condition was under the influence of liquor or drug or any other kind of disability which disentitles him to drive the car at that particular moment. And
which
that
in all likely,
only.
Dr. Rajiv Nanda, is not going to happen now. That's almost clear.
That is why the precious evidence has been allowed to get wasted. This is a case where destruction of evidence has been done deliberately so that the person goes away. Now, not only this, now this is another angle. The family says epilepsy, that the person Mishra was driving, he had an attack of epilepsy. Now this becomes a case of creating a false evidence. So all that is going on, and police is merrily charging only under small sections of 281 and 125 of BNS, which are merely driving negligently, which are very light sections, permit the person driving, alleged to be driving rashly only or for 5,000 rupees or maybe maximum a punishment of 1 year. And he's also been charged only for creating mischief on public street,
Absolutely.
which is again for a very light section. Police ought to have charged him under stronger section. This case will meet a fait accompli if such kind of lapses occur. The blood test time has gone. Now, as you rightly said, saline or whatever kind of other drugs must have been administered to him. That will dilute the medical test even if conducted now. What prevented police to arrest him? There were videos, people taking him out of the car. It is minded. It is only a two.
Okay. Sir, I'll just get back to you. Sharath Dwivedi, please come in at this point. Your police as an action, has gone ahead to just about give a shunting posting to an SHO. Now, we have a former top cop, Ranjan Dwivedi, who's gone on to say that that's not just shunting, it's actually a very strong messaging. How is it a very strong messaging for such a high-profile case where minute after minute there were lapses, starting from the breath analyzer test that was not taken, to a medical test that was not taken, to evidence that was not collected from a forensic team, to a car that was driven to a police station, to a car that was parked there, to statements that were not taken, to an accused who then has flown to Delhi for treatment. How is all this not lapses, and how has the police given a strong messaging? I completely fail to understand. Can you understand this? Are you happy with your police?
At the initial stage, I'd like to make two statements. First of all, that this man's father's house was raided in 2021 by the income tax department. So we are not impressed by his political, financial or physical muscle power. The second thing is that Minister State Home, Ajay Mishra Teni, his son was arrested, prosecuted and bailed by the Honorable Supreme Court. So it has nothing to do with the influence this man has or his father has. There was some shoddy investigation at the initial stage. The inspector has already been put off the active duties. We are waiting for this man to be discharged from hospital. Because all the things that present on air is only based on either speculation or on the basis of the eyewitness evidence. That cannot be made, party to the
police, Sharat Trivedi. The police is not saying that this is just any evidence based on eyewitness or any, situational circumstantial evidence. The police has gone on record to say that they have ample evidence. That's what the police is saying. Now, if that is the case, and if you are saying there have been some shoddy investigations, well, it's not been some shoddy. It has been a terribly shoddy probe that has happened. If these two cases are correct, why haven't higher authorities been pulled up, heads rolled? Why is it only a SHO's responsibility?
The whole investigation is still in progress. We cannot jump the gun. Let the investigation be completed. The facts will be brought out. I was not privy to the investigation. I was not the eyewitness to the case. The competent officers are on the job. Let the investigation be completed. Let this man be discharged from the hospital. His evidence will be taken. His statement will be put on record, and the appropriate action will be taken.
Rajiv Nanda, please respond. Rajiv Nanda, please respond to Sharat Trivedi. He's saying, let the probe happen. Action will be taken. Please respond.
Now, when the evidence has been permitted to be destroyed, he has been permitted to go away, and his blood test has not been conducted. How can the police? This is a case of a totally botched up kind of investigation. Now it is kind of ex post facto thing that police is going to conduct an inquiry, which is totally botched up inquiry. No evidence is going to come except the video where he is being pulled out of the car, and it is a two-seater car. The theory developed is that the driver was driving or he got an attack is totally disproved from the video which is being circulated now. How can the police investigate now to something about alcohol, about drug or something else now when more than 72 hours have passed? And what prevents police even to go and arrest him now or check him in the hospital? They are simply permitting the time to lapse and let the evidence go away. This is what the case is.
Okay, I believe Sharat Trivedi has to leave, but very quickly, Ranjan Dwivedi, if I can just come to you. Yeah. I have a question to ask you, and that is a very simple question. Now you have the family coming up and saying, listen, it was not my son. It was a hired driver. Now, the car, sir, allow me. The car has been driven. The car has been driven by the police to the police station. The forensic evidence has been destroyed by none other than the police because the forensic evidence was not taken. How are we going to prove this? And the medical test was also not done. So we do not even know that side of Shivam. So how is this going to come together, sir?
No, Sneha, as I said in the very beginning, that this was a major lapse, that his medical examination was not done immediately after the accident. But otherwise, no forensic evidence is lost. You see, every car after an accident is taken for a technical inspection. That takes time. You get the TI, technical inspector, traffic inspector, he comes and inspects the car. So that will be inspected. And as I said, that the car was driven from the side, that means the car was in a perfect condition. You can't say that, otherwise they're going to say, okay, look, there was a problem in the car. the brakes didn't work and all that. But obviously, if the car was driven
Father has
by, you
already
can see
said
that
today, which is what the father has
Sorry?
already said today, that there was a technical glitch in the car. It's not like
that's what
that.
I'm saying. No, that is what, you're right, Sneha, that is what the accused will always say that. And I said, no, there is no punishment for speaking the truth in this country. That's a misfortune. He might say whatever he wants, and that's one. Secondly, this is a perfect narrative that happens in every accident, that ultimately for a moneyed person, somebody else becomes a driver, and he goes and makes a confession in the court for money. And the law in the country is so weak. Here people are injured, and as my learned Dr. Nanda was saying, even if you kill a person by driving rashly, the punishment is only 2 years. Maximum punishment is just 2 years. Nobody even gets that. So the law is really weak. It should be stronger. And if the accident is done by a more powerful vehicle, it should be punishable by a higher amount. The penalty should be much higher. You see, all this lacuna is there. But as far as the police is concerned, as I said already, he was not medically examined, but that's only a very small part of the investigation. Otherwise, I think the police is on track. They have identified, the police commissioner has said they've got ample evidence.
Okay.
They'll put it in court.
Okay, my question, I hear you, sir. I hear you for whatever stand you are taking, in whatever sense you're trying to explain this, but a very simple question that everybody has to say. Will an ordinary citizen be able to take his or her son or daughter out of the state for medical facility to the capital after a crash? Wasn't there any big hospitals in Kanpur? I would like to take this question to Sharat Trivedi because I'll have to allow him to leave after that. Sharat Trivedi, how did the police allow that to happen? And is the state government okay with that?
There is no law that can prevent a father from taking his own son to any hospital in the country. We are only, concerned with the matter being under investigation. Let the investigation be completed. Everybody is trying to become Sherlock Holmes. We might have lost a part of the evidence, but the investigation system is so strong. The investigation agencies and the forensic science has become so advanced that even a minor lapse can be covered by the video evidence. It can be covered, as the Director General Saab has said, that the forensic analysis of the car will take place. Who's been driving, which side the person was sitting, that has already been taken care of. We have already had a statement from the Commissioner Kanpur that I
think if we go by legal evidence, despite what you are talking, despite what you're talking about how advanced forensic science has become, the conviction rates of accidents are abysmal in this country.
We have had 90.
So one is forensic science might, and second is the power of conviction, is the reality of conviction. The two are very different, sir. Last words from you before I go to the advocate.
93,000 people have been convicted in Uttar Pradesh. 16,000 police operations have happened. 266 people have been killed in Uttar Pradesh. That is the way we have brought law and order under control. I can assure you that we will not see this person will be prosecuted, whosoever the person may be. No matter how high you are, the law is always above you. That is the major premise of our legal system.
Rajiv Nanda, your response to Sharat Trivedi. We're totally out of time. Rajiv Nanda, your last response to Sharat Trivedi, and for what you have heard from Ranjan Dwivedi as well, please.
See, rule of law is the only thing in which the people believe here. If this kind of things happen, people will start losing faith in the rule of law and the police investigations. This ought not to have happened. Police ought not to have let him go out. And the FIR was registered under unknown people. Police had the same kind of evidence at that point of time also when FIR was registered. What new has emerged that they have added his name? It is only that they just didn't want his name to be there. This brings the public faith in danger about the rule of law. That's what I can say about it at the moment.
Thank you very much, Sharat Trivedi, Ranjan Dwivedi and Dr. Rajiv Nanda for joining us. It is a shocking case, and for what we believe have been shocking lapses that have happened in the probe. Questions that we will continue to ask and a probe that we will continue to track very closely.